So good morning, students. Once again, welcome back to our online classes. So in previous video, we are discussing our chapter 2, physical quantities and measurement. In this chapter, we have learned about density, then how to measure the density of a solid, and then we have learned about how to measure the density of irregular shaped solids by various methods like displacement method and Virka chain or overflow jar method. Then we have also learned what is relative density and how the relative density is used to compare the densities of different substances which refer to the density of water. Then how to find out the relative density of any unknown substance, that is especially for liquid, by using relative density bottle. Now today we are going to discuss one more instrument that is called hydrometer. Now basically what is hydrometer? You can see here the figure is drawn on the blackboard. A hydrometer is an instrument which is used to measure the relative density of any unknown liquid. Hydrometer is basically used to measure the relative density of any unknown liquid. It is not as complicated as we have seen in case of a relative density bottle, that we have to measure the mass, and little bit it was complicated. Here the hydrometer is basically an instrument made up of glass having a stem made up of cylindrical capillary tube provided with a bulb at the bottom. In this bottom, it is filled with mercury or lead shot in order to keep this whole arrangement in vertical position. Now, if you have to measure the relative density of any unknown liquid, what you will do? You will take a vessel, you will pour that liquid inside this vessel partially, then you will insert the hydrometer. Now, when the hydrometer comes into equilibrium condition, means first when you will insert, it will start sinking and finally it will stop. So that is what, neither it is going downward nor it is shaking, then that is what equilibrium condition. Then we will take out the reading. See which reading which is calibrated on the stem is coinciding with the surface of the liquid. Like here you can see it is 0.9. So this the reading, the calibration, the degree, the marking which is coinciding with the surface of the liquid will give the relative density. So from this figure you can see that the relative density is equal to 0.9. Once you got the relative density, density of unknown liquid will be equal to relative density multiplied by the density of water. That is 0.9 into 1, you will get 0.9 grams per cubic centimeter, and if we have to convert into SI unit, then we will multiply it by 1000. So now it is in kilograms per cubic meter, that is 900 kilograms per cubic meter. So this is basically what hydrometer. Once again, it is an instrument which is used to measure the relative density of an unknown liquid. It is basically made up of glass in the form of a capillary tube designed, which is called stem, which is calibrated with the scale internally on a paper at which you can take the reading. The bottom is in the shape of a bulb which is filled with mercury or lead shots to keep it vertical, to keep it in vertical position. Now when you will insert it in any unknown liquid, once it comes into equilibrium, then you will read out which marking of the calibration is coinciding with the surface of liquid. That will be the relative density. Now, the lesser is the density of the liquid, the more will be the sinking. The higher is the density, the lesser will be the sinking. This is how we will get the relative density. And once you get the relative density, you can use the formula which we have discussed earlier. The density of any unknown substance, here it is liquid, is equal to relative density multiplied by the density of water. If you use CGS, you will multiply by 1 gram per cubic centimeter. If you want the answer into SI unit, then you will multiply it by 1000 kilograms per cubic meter. Now, the specially designed hydrometer which is used to check the purity of a milk is called what? Lactometer. So remember this from fill in the blank point of view or one word answer type questions in exam. The hydrometer which is used to check the purity of a milk is called what? Lactometer. It is also like same, only it is specially designed to check the purity of a milk. Now, what is the importance of relative density? We have discussed yesterday only. Today also, we will go through it once again. Next one, flotation and sinking. Now, what is flotation and sinking? When we insert anything in a liquid, then what are the two possibilities? We have seen that. Suppose two vessels are filled with two similar type of liquids. Say it is water. Now, when you insert two objects in this liquid, the possibility is what you will see, either it is lying on the surface of the liquid, or on inserting it, it sinks up to the bottom. So this is what the surface, the object which is submerged in the liquid, if it is lying on the surface, it is said to be floating, and if it goes up to the bottom, it is said to be sink. Then what is the condition? What is the condition that when any object is submerged in a liquid, it will float or it will sink? That is concluded on the basis of the relative density or the density of the substance. Suppose if the density of substance is ds and liquid is dl, then if density of any known substance is less than the density of the liquid, any type of liquid. Here we have taken water, it can be any type of liquid. Then it will float. If the density of the substance which we have submerged in a liquid is less than the density of the liquid, then it will float. Or if the density of the substance is greater than the density of the liquid, then it will sink. So this is the condition of flotation or sinking, which we can identify, we can judge on the basis of knowing the density of the solid and liquid. That if the density of solid is more than the density of liquid, then it will float. Otherwise, if the density of if the density of solid is less than the density of liquid, it will float. Otherwise, if the density of solid is more than the density of liquid, it will sink. Or in other way, you can say that if especially it is water, then if you are knowing the relative density also, we can conclude that we know that the relative density of water is 1. So if the relative density of the solid is less than 1, then it will float. If the relative density of solid is greater than 1, then it will sink. So the condition of flotation and sinking depend upon the density of the substance as well as the density of the liquid in which the substance is submerged. Next is application of flotation and sinking. So application of flotation and sinking, we have applied it on vast scale. For example, the very important one we will discuss here is the ship. The ship needs to float in any water body like we have seen in a river or in an ocean. But if we have observed, you will see a special marking, a line is drawn on the hull of the ship. A line is drawn on the hull of a ship. These lines are called what? Plimsoll line. Now, what is the meaning? What is the importance of this line which is marked or drawn on the hull of the outer surface of the ship? They indicate that up to what depth a ship can be loaded in a water, particular type of water body, so that we can avoid the risk of sinking. So that we can avoid the risk of sinking. So here I have drawn two lines. Why? Because if you take two type of river bodies, say water bodies, say river and sea or ocean, then the density of river water is less than the density of sea or ocean, because the sea or ocean water is contains salt, and the salt increases the density. The salt increases the density. It means in an ocean, the same ship can be submerged up to more depth as compared to the river water. So the upper line will show the depth up to which we can load the ship and make it get sink inside the water, so that even if it is under this much depth also, we can avoid the chances of sinking. But in a river water, it is a plain water, its density is less, so the loading can be done only up to a particular limit, which is less than as compared to the loading we have done in case of oceans or sea water. So this is what one of the important significance or application of knowing the density and the condition of flotation and sinking depending upon the density of the liquid. So the plimsoll line are the marking done on the outer surface of the ship in order to indicate that up to what depth a ship can be loaded, so that we can avoid the risk of sinking. So it's a safety measure, you can say that. Next one is variation of density with temperature. variation of density with temperature. Means how the density of any given substance will change when the temperature of the substance is varied. So the density is inversely proportional to temperature. It means what? Inversely proportional to temperature means if we will increase the temperature of any substance, its density will decrease, whereas if we will decrease the temperature, its density will increase. Now directly we don't find any formula that how they are related, but go to the basic definition and formula of density. So we have learned density is mass upon volume. Now we also know that the substances when they are heated, their temperature increases, their volume will increase. Now you can see in this formula, for a given mass, if the volume increases, then this whole ratio will decrease, and this ratio is defined as what? Density. So when the volume will increase with increase in temperature, the density will decrease. Similarly, we also know that when we cool any object or when we decrease the temperature, it contracts, its volume decreases. So being mass constant, when the denominator will decrease, this whole ratio will increase, and this ratio is defined as density. So it means the density will increase. So this is what the variation of density with respect to the temperature. That with increase in temperature, the density decreases, whereas with decrease in temperature, the density increases. And this is whole and soul applicable for fluids. The liquids and gases are combinedly known as fluids because they can flow. So the density of liquids and gases used to vary with change in temperature. The solids don't used to have any significant variation. Reason is very simple, because in the solids the molecules are compactly packed. They are holded with very strong intermolecular force of attraction. So on heating the solids with rising temperature, they undergo very negligible amounts of increase in their volume. So we normally say that there is no change in density of the solids with rise in temperature normally. But liquids and gases, since the molecules present in the liquid and gases are held very lightly, very weak intermolecular force of attraction is acting between the two molecules. So with a little bit of change in the temperature, they undergo expansion, so their volume starts increasing. As a result, their density starts decreasing, and vice versa. So this is what the variation of density with respect to the temperature. Now next one is convectional current. Convection current in liquid and gases. Now what is convection current and how it is formed? The reason behind the formation of convection current is due to the difference in the density of different layers of liquid or gases. Due to the difference in the density of different layer of liquid or gases present in a given liquid or gas. For example, if you take water in a vessel, now when you start heating it, means we have started supplying heat energy, the temperature will increase. Now we will see what happens. The water which is near to the bottom, they will immediately they will absorb heat energy. As a result of that, their volume will increase. So as a result of that, their density will decrease. Now because of decrease in the density, they will become lighter, and as a result, they will move in upward direction. They will move in upward direction, and they will create a vacuum or the space here which is filled by the next layer of denser liquid. Then again this liquid will again absorb the heat energy, it will become lighter, again it will rise in upward direction, again the space created will be occupied by the next layer of denser liquid. As a result of this, we will observe that a formation of current is taking place due to the movement of hot liquid and cold liquid, or you can say that the lighter and the heavier liquid. So this is what the formation of convectional current. This movement of liquid or gases is known as what? Convection current in liquids and gases. So this is why happening because of difference in the density of two layers present in a liquid or gas. The lighter one will rise in upward direction and the space will be occupied by the next layer of denser liquid or gas. So as a result, a continuous movement is taking place. In our nature also, the formation of land bridges and sea bridges takes place due to this only, due to the convectional current, formation of convectional current of air. If you know that in a coastal areas, if you observe in daytime, the land side is made up of what? Sand, and the water body, ocean or sea is having water. Now in daytime, what happens? The sand, because of its low specific capacity, it becomes hot very soon. So the air which is present above the surface of the land side, they become lighter and they rise in upward direction. As a result, they create a vacuum here which is occupied by the cold air from the sea side. Again, they become hot and they rise. Again, the space is occupied by the cold air from the sea side. So as a result, what happens? A wind seems to be blowing from sea to land side due to the difference in the density of the air on the two sides. One is above the land side and one is above the water body. So this is what we say that the wind is blowing from sea to land side, so it is called what? Sea breeze. So this is what the formation of sea breeze in daytime is taking place due to the formation of convectional current in air. Similarly, in night time, it is just opposite. The liquid remain hot for a long time and the land side becomes cool very soon. So the air above the water body rises in upward direction and they create a vacuum here which is occupied by the cold air from the land side. So we feel that in the night time the wind is blowing from land to sea side. So this is what the convectional current in gases. So the convectional current, the formation of convectional current in liquid or gases takes place due to difference in the density of different layers of liquid or gases present in a given liquid or gas. Similarly, next one is comparison of densities in the three states of matter. Comparison of densities in the three states of matter. So how many states of matter do we know? We know that in normal condition the matter exists in solid, liquid or gas. The matter exists in the normal condition in solid, liquid or gaseous state. So let the density of the solid is represented by d subscript S, dl and dg. Then if we compare that whose density is more and whose density is less, then we will find that the density of solid is more than the density of liquid is more than the density of gas. So the density of solid is maximum, then the liquid and gases, as well as the density of liquid is less than solid but more than gases, and the density of gases are least. Reason is very simple. In solid, suppose if these are representing the molecules, so we know that in solid the molecules are compactly packed and the intermolecular force of attraction acting between them is very large. So as a result, the spacing, the intermolecular spacing between them is very less. So for a given volume, the mass of solid is very large. The mass of solid is very large. They can hold large number of molecules in a given volume. So we know that density is mass upon volume. Now for a given volume, more is the number of molecules, so more will be the mass. So more is the ratio, more is the density. Whereas in liquid, the molecules are lightly folded by each other. Means the intermolecular force of attraction acting between them is comparatively less than the solid, and the spacing between them is more. So as a result, they hold little less number of molecules as compared to the solid in a given volume. So the ratio of mass upon volume is coming less than the what was coming in case of solid. So the density of liquid is less than the solid. And next is gases. In gases, the molecules are Lightly, very least. The intermolecular force of attraction is almost negligible, and the intermolecular spacing is extremely large. So as a result, very less number of molecules are present in a particular given volume. So lesser is the number of molecules, lesser is the mass, and volume is same. So lesser is this ratio, and this ratio is called what? Density. So the density of gases are minimum for a given volume. So this is what the density of solid is more than the density of liquid is more than the density of gases. So the reason behind the difference in the density is just how many number of molecules are holded in a particular given volume. So large is the number of, more is the number of molecules in a given volume, higher is the density. Lesser is the number of molecules in a given volume, lesser is the density. So this was all about our chapter 2, that is physical quantity and measurement. So basically in this chapter we have learned a particular physical quantity that is called derived quantity, density, and the various things which are related with the density, that what is density, how we can measure the density of solids and liquids. Then we have learned different methods, and what is the relative density bottle, how relative density bottle can be used to measure the density of any unknown liquid. Then we have learned what is hydrometer, the construction and working of hydrometer, and how hydrometer is used to measure the relative density of any unknown liquid. Then we have also discussed that a specially designed hydrometer which is used to measure the or check the purity of milk is called lactometer. Then we have learned about application of what is flotation and sinking, what are the conditions for flotation and sinking, that is for a given solid or a substance submerged in a liquid, if the density of that substance is more than the density of liquid, it will sink, and if the density is less, it will float. Then application of this flotation and sinking, we have learned the important application is plimsoll lines, which are marked on the outer surface hull of the ship, which indicates that up to what limit we can load the ship so that we can avoid the risk of sinking. Then we have also learned that what is convectional current in liquid and gases, and what is the reason behind the formation of convectional current, that is the difference in the density of two layers of the liquid or gases. Then at last, how the density varied with change in temperature. It is inversely proportional, that is with increase in temperature the density decreases, as well as decrease in temperature the density increases. Then we have learned about the comparison of density of the three states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. And then we have concluded the reason is just because of the difference in the intermolecular force of attraction and intermolecular spacing, which is in case of solid, the intermolecular force of attraction is extremely large and spacing is negligible. So the solids used to have maximum density comparatively, liquid used to have less, whereas in gases the intermolecular force of attractions are very weak, almost negligible, and extremely large intermolecular spacing. So the gases used to have the least density. So this was all about our chapter. For the answers, the exercise answers are uploaded on the website. You can get it from there. And for for practicing other types of numericals, you can go through the solved examples. Let us have a practice of few numericals as we have discussed in our last video. So if you are having this book on page number 28, you can see the question part H, solving the following numericals is provided here. So few numericals I will do here for all of you. Suppose the first one is given, simple one. A piece of a solid has a mass 10 grams. As I have always said, whenever you have to solve a numerical, first note down all the given information. So given mass of solid is equal to 10 grams. Then when it is completely immersed in water, the water level rises by 5 ml. So water level rises by 5 ml. It means what? Change in water level is given 5 ml. And when it is completely immersed, it means we have learned a displacement method, that when an irregular shaped solid is there and if you submerge it completely, then whatever is the change in the level of the water or change in the volume of the liquid, that will be equal to the volume of the solid. So change in water level is 5 ml. It means volume of liquid displaced is equal to 5 ml. And now the volume of liquid displaced will be equal to the volume of solid submerged. Therefore, volume of solid will be equal to 5 ml or 5 centimeter cube, because 1 ml is equal to 1 cubic centimeter. Now you are having the mass, you have the volume, so you can use the formula density is equal to mass upon volume, that is 10 upon 5. So we will get 2 grams per cubic centimeter. And if I ask you whether the solid will float or sink in water, you can check the density, it is 2 grams per cubic centimeter. In CGS system, the density of water is 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So if you will compare, you will find the density of the solid is more than the density of water. So if you will place the solid in water, it will sink. Sometimes they ask, like a numerical is given, and then they can ask that whether this solid when placed in water will sink or float or any liquid. So what you have to do, you have to find out the density of that liquid and then you compare. If the density of solid is more than the density of liquid, it will sink. If it is less, then it will float. Next numerical. This numerical is based on measuring the density of any irregular shape solid. Next one is in terms of relative density. The relative density of oak wood is given 0.64. Third numerical, given density of oak wood is equal to, relative density. Relative density of oak wood is given 0.64. It is a unitless quantity. Then what is its density in SI system? So as I have told you that if you go for the formula, relative density is equal to density of a known substance upon density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. So density of any unknown substance is equal to relative density of that substance multiplied by density of water. The first part is find the density of this oak wood in SI system. So remember, whenever we have to calculate relative density is given and we have to calculate the density in SI units, then you will put the value of density of water as 1000 kilograms per cubic meter. And if you have to calculate in CGS system, you will put here 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So density of oak wood in SI units will be equal to relative density 0.64 multiplied by 1000. So we will get 640 kilograms per cubic meter. Similarly, density of oak wood in CGS system. In CGS system of units, it will be 0.64 into 1. So it will be 0.64 grams per cubic centimeter. So from this numerical, what we have done, that density of any unknown substance is equal to the product of its relative density multiplied by the density of water. Now whenever you have to find the density of any unknown substance in SI system, then you will put the value of density of water as 1000 kilograms per cubic meter, and if you have to calculate the density of unknown substance in CGS system of unit, then you will put 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So this is how simple numericals are asked from this topic. Now let us discuss one numerical from relative density bottle. So if you remember relative density bottle, in relative density bottle we have learned that relative density is equal to mc minus m1 upon m2 minus m1. So let's identify that term. M1 is here the mass of empty relative density bottle. M2 is the mass of density bottle plus water, and M3 is the mass of density bottle plus any unknown liquid whose relative density we have to measure. Now let's go through a question. An empty relative density bottle weighs 60 grams. Empty relative density bottle weighs 60 grams. This is our numerical 5. So mass of empty bottle means M1 is given 60 grams. and weighs 120 gram when completely filled with water. So mass of bottle plus water. This is M2. M2 is given 120 grams. So M2 is given 120 grams. And when bottle is completely filled with unknown liquid, it weighs 90 grams. So mass of bottle plus unknown liquid. Now this is what M3. M3 is given 90 grams. Then calculate relative density. Now we have M1, the mass of empty bottle, M2, the bottle plus water when it is completely filled, and then M3, the mass of bottle plus unknown liquid when the bottle is completely filled. So once we have M1, M2 and M3, we can use the formula RD is equal to M3 minus M1 upon M2 minus M1. This is equal to 90 minus 60 upon 120 minus 60. So this will come 30 upon 60. So we will get 0.5. So this is how we will approach a numerical. As I have always said, whenever you are solving any numerical, first read the numerical carefully, then note down all the given information, then find out which formula is suitable or what other information are required to calculate the unknown quantity which is asked to be calculated in a given numerical. This is how easily we can approach. Second one, whenever you are placing the values of the quantities, always be careful that all the values are in the same system of units. Same system means if the mass is in kilogram, then the volume must be in cubic meter. If the mass is in gram, then the volume must be in cubic centimeter. It means all the values are either in SI system of unit or all the values are always in CGS system of unit. This is what we have to take care, and then how we can approach the numerical. So this is all from this chapter. Thank you for today, and I hope you are doing well, and go through the chapter, go through the exercise. For further exercise answers, the answers are uploaded on the website. You can get it from there. Thank you very much.